Hi, Ken. This is Chad here, and you're listening to My Alien Life.
So those kind of speeds exist in our galaxy, and this object came from outside of our solar system. Having a large relative velocity, remember objects in our solar in the galaxy are moving with relative velocities on average of between 200 and 300 kilometers per second, which is much, much faster than any object in our solar system. So any random object that wasn't part of our solar system happened to be traveling in the direction of our solar system, it could easily traverse our solar system with a speed that's incredibly large.
It had been tested on lab mice, and it didn't kill them, and so I wasn't really that leery about it.
I can see that there's a fear on his face. And he took off, we took off. So something was wrong there, man. Something was wrong there, man. They cut into something that they didn't know. They didn't know what was wrong there, man. And there was some problems.
My Alien Life is recorded high atop the Northern Rocky Mountains and is heard all over the world, and you can listen everywhere fine podcasts are found. My website is www.myalienlifepodcast.com. There you'll find links to every episode, stories, photos, the My Alien Life Legends page, and much more. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and consider becoming a patron while you're checking out all the content. I'm your host, Cameron Logan. This is My Alien Life, and the podcast starts right now.
My Alien Life Podcast.
Three, two, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Yeah, I'm thinking the world has become less stable, and there's a bit, well, maybe a need for an intervention or a need for everyone to chill a bit. It's intense, man. What do you think, Cass? I mean, Kristen's back, Cassidy's back, and the world's crazy right now. It's crazy.
We need another Karen Carpenter.
Another what?
Karen Carpenter.
Yeah, we do.
She had that song, Calling Occupants of Interplanetary Craft.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with that, Cameron?
Absolutely. Because I'm like 56 years old.
Just loved it. And I hadn't heard it until very recently. I was, I guess, protected by those people that thought that sort of music would be, I don't know. Eyebrow raising.
Well,
go ahead, Ken. Sorry.
No, just, you know how I feel about that. You know, I was shielded from Iron Maiden, and then I finally got to hurt, and I'm like, where have you been my whole life? No one should be shielded from music or art. You know what I mean? You never know what you're going to like until you try it.
Remember, I was in a very strict Christian cult upbringing at the time, so anything pertaining to anywhere from here, they were demons, Cass.
Yeah, I find that it's interesting that starseeds and whatnot tend to manifest in intensely religious families, and I'm not quite sure why, but
I
it
think
tends
I
to
have
be
an
a thing.
idea. The universe has a sense of humor.
Yeah. Well, this phase of first contact is difficult here. We've never encountered this kind of trouble. You know what I mean? Usually races, when we contact people, they're either kill them all and that's the end of contact, or they're like, okay, thank God, and it goes great. Here, there's so much nuance and so much black and white, and humans can convince themselves of anything. So you're right. It has gone crazy. You know?
I think right now everybody needs to take a deep breath. Politically, things are too intense, and all the functions in government that are really essential, they don't work really well. And,
No.
We still have the same problems, and it's compounding new problems. And I don't care what your political philosophy is really. Take a deep breath. I'm on everybody's side, even though I may not agree with everybody. I'm on their side, and it's tough right now. And there's people out there who are definitely being overlooked, who are people in great need, much greater need than our need to make money.
Indeed.
Collect wealth, collect whatever. I mean, it's a big deal right now, and I just, in my opinion, it's in a scientific opinion, really, that as the world gets hotter, our tempers get hotter, and it's trouble, and it doesn't look good right now.
No. I
Not
can say
digging
one.
it. Go ahead.
What was
buddy.
that?
Go ahead, buddy. I'm not digging it, but go ahead.
Oh, no, I don't think anybody is. I can say with confidence that the people's this planet's economic system has been confusing my entire life, but recently I've discovered the purpose of money and what it's supposed to be for, and what wealth is meant to be for. The whole purpose of gathering the wealth is in it, whatever resource it is. On this planet, it's apparently gold or credit or whatever the hell you want to call it. But whatever a given society's economic purpose is that wealth is meant to be gathered to share.
Right.
Yes. Because
They
some
used to
people,
say that you can judge a society by how they take care of their poor and their elderly.
yes.
That was one of the things of Greece and Rome.
Mhm.
Keep going.
So none of these problems.
Exactly, but you say that and people would think you're a socialist or a communist or a Marxist.
Or a hippie.
Instead
You
of
know?
instead of a decent, caring person, can't you just be a decent, caring person and
Yes.
wish the best on people who
Exactly.
on the have-not?
And people will blame like society or a politician or their parents, but you guys don't realize the power is in you. It doesn't matter what your parents did or whatever trauma stopped you from chasing your dreams. The power is inside you, dear listener, you.
And you can
do
change
anything.
generational trauma by choosing a different path.
Yes. That's part of what this phase of sorry, I'm shut up about that. I'm shut up about that part. But the thing is what people need to realize is there is no problems that humans are facing right now that cannot be solved. The water problem, the homeless problem, all of it. All we have to do is come together and just talk, hear each other. When someone's speaking to you, hear them as you would have them hear you. Really hear them. Go ahead.
The water problem is like biblical right now. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, either there's too much or there's too little,
Yeah, and the problem is it could all be piped to where it needs to go, and everybody would have plenty. But there's this race to control the water supply because he who controls the water controls the blah, blah, blah. It's almost like a worse version of a James Bond movie, There's enough water. We just got to pipe it to the right places.
Well, I know that's
and not to mention desalination.
Easier said than done. But of course, our water crosses state lines and different states handle water differently. And
right.
Different parts of different states handle water differently.
Well,
I mean, I'm in the middle of probably one of the states that have the most water, and we don't have a water problem. But if you're in Pakistan right now, or if you're in Southern California right now, or if you're in Nevada, it's looking bleak. But it's a rough planet to live on, and we've kind of eked it out for a couple of years and made it look good, made it look easy, but there's too many of us almost.
Biff, welcome to Earth. Yeah. That's about what it's like, folks.
Yeah.
That's a reference to an old movie called Independence Day.
There's water everywhere, but we can't drink.
Not a drop to drink.
We can't drink 90% of it.
But that's the thing. That's why so many of us, like the shaman and whatnot, from like Native American tribes, and not just Native Americans, but indigenous people all over. That's why so many of us went to college to learn the science and say, okay, this is what we need to do. We've got plans, and not just Cassidy. Go talk to like the Native Americans, talk to some of the Aboriginal people, talk to some of the indigenous in Africa. Okay, we got people in Africa who went out, learned the science, and then came back and showed tribal people how to pull water out of the air. Okay, there is hope coming.
Yeah, that would be condensation, right?
Exactly.
And then there is the availability of taking sand and charcoal and purifying your own water.
Mm-hmm. Using these methods, it is actually possible to reforest the Sahara. Folks, there is hope. It's just don't listen to the news right now, man.
Yesterday I was driving down the road and took an exit, and at the bottom of the exit there was this guy with this big white beard, and he had a sign. He wanted money, and so I pulled over and I had $2, and I gave him $2. And he said, as I was leaving, I heard him say something, and I said, "What?" And he said, "Are you familiar with alchemy?" And I said, "Whoa, yeah." I said, "What? Tell me about that." Because I thought, wow. This is going to be amazing because here's this guy with this big white beard. So I said, yeah, can we talk about that? And he goes, yeah, I'd love to talk about it.
Did he have a car full of toys? Just wondering.
No. And he was on foot. And he said, yeah, man, it's all alchemy. And I said, I know. I said, tell me about it. He goes, I'm applying there tomorrow. I said, what? Yeah, it's a new restaurant. I'm going to be a dishwasher there. And I said, oh. And so that's my story.
That had a different twist.
I was kind of bummed it didn't turn out the way I thought it was going to turn out. That it sometimes does when I catch somebody's attention and they tell me this incredible story. So,
I thought there was going to be like lottery numbers involved. And
no. It told me the bottom line was I need to keep it real. So there it is.
Hey, you know what? When you're in the right condition, getting a job as a dishwasher is a blessing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was cool. And I just said, oh, okay. Yeah. I read about it. And good luck, because he goes, oh, yeah, tomorrow I'm going to, I almost have enough to get a haircut. And I was like, yeah, cool. Do it.
Yeah, so he was talking about spiritual alchemy. One of the issues that we're having in the community is there's a difference between spiritual alchemy and physical, like Greek style alchemy, and people are getting them all cross confused. Mm-hmm. But I bet you that guy, what he was trying to tell you is that he had used spiritual alchemy to change his condition, and he was almost there. I'm pretty sure that's what that guy was trying to tell you.
I think he just was going to get a haircut and be a dishwasher, but he had a different way of turning his talents into gold. So not a whole lot of gold, but yeah, it's where I live right now. It's crazy because we've experienced so much growth. It's you guys, being from the city or having been in a city would recognize this as a smaller community that was once about 30,000 people that probably has the potential of doubling overnight. And when I say overnight, probably 6 years, including the last 3 that we had with COVID. So it's changed drastically, and we have experienced a homeless population as well as a population of people who have moved here that aren't employed, and all the people who could be potentially employed but can't afford to live here moving away. So there's like nobody here that is working. It's the employment. There's, I guess there's not a lot of unemployment, but there's a huge amount of jobs. I mean, in like 5,000 range, and it's crazy. Everything's just shutting down, and it's sort of dystopian in a way that I don't know how. It's just it's this feeling, and it's this impending doom, and it's coming, and what that's going to look like. Is it just going to be lots of rich people and with nothing to do because nothing's open? So the future looks weird.
Oh yeah,
everywhere.
Well, if things continued as they are, the level of dystopian horror that people would go through is just unreal. You know, they're basically what they're trying to do is recreate the feudal class. So all the middle class will be gone. Everybody will be serfs. You know, they'll be running around and they're flying in their private jets and whatnot, and we'll be eating bugs. You know what I mean? Which, by the way, for those of you listening, that is not healthy. Humans cannot digest chitin properly. It is not healthy. People are actually getting sick.
Don't
There's
eat
a bunch
bugs.
Right. Now, keep in mind, this is a little bit more invasive than it seems. Like, oh, I'm going to pick up a bug and eat it. Check the ingredients on your flour. You're going to find that a lot of brands are carrying a new ingredient, and if you look it up, it is basically ground up bugs. They're already trying to get people to get used to it, and people are already getting sick from the chitin poisoning. So the bug eating is not an option, folks.
Interesting. I had an allergy doctor tell me, this is a long time ago. He asked me if I was allergic to peanuts, and that was when peanut allergies were becoming very well known.
Yeah.
And he said, it's not the peanuts a lot of times. And I said, okay, well, I don't have a peanut problem. He said, it's the cockroaches in the peanuts. And, I said, really, and I was a young fellow at the time. And that was my first knowledge of what it's like in gigantic food factories, like I guess Skippy and Jif. Not to say that they put cockroaches or accidentally, they're cockroaches that are infused into the peanut emulsion. It's I guess it happens, but
yeah, there's actually I'm not going to go ahead and say what it is. Y'all can look it up for yourself if you want, but there's an actual FDA percentage of accidental ground up insects that are allowed in your food.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it just happens, folks. It's nothing bad.
It's no different than a picnic.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's just, quite frankly, humans have gotten really picky about what they eat, and like your bodies are capable of so much more. So it's yucky, but it's not usually harmful,
Yeah.
But
They-
the different
they
kinds
have
of chitin.
They have an insect museum in New Orleans that's amazing.
Ooh.
And they have a kitchen, and they prepare insects. And I guess it was a year after Hurricane Katrina, I was there, and I visited this. Did I say museum? It's an insect whatever zoo. I don't know what it. No, there's a word that escapes me that I'm embarrassed. I'm not coming up with, but anyway,
I know the feeling. It's all right.
So I was there, and I was in this kitchen, and couldn't believe what I was seeing because I take some chances of foods, and I like that. And the guy who was, I guess he was a chef, who was in there cooking, I was the only guy in there, and there was they gave out free samples. And there's crickets, grasshoppers, waxworms, and mealworms, and everything was great. And
I roll to disbelieve.
Yeah, it was an interesting place. It's protein, and in many cultures and societies, that's protein. So
I have to take Cameron's side on this one. I myself, personally, in 1975, ate a chocolate-covered grasshopper on a dare. So I will take Cameron's side. There's nothing bad about them.
Cool.
No, I'll be the odd man out. No.
Yep.
Nope, can't do it.
No one's asking you to.
No, I think it's pretty cool. I guess it's an insectarium. That's what this place was.
That could be called. You know what? Let me look it up. I keep forgetting I have a computer right here.
Yeah.
Technology, what a concept.
But yeah, that's one of the things that
Yeah, you're right. Insectarium.
Yeah, it happens on the planet that I don't think that too many people think about. But we get a look into that through YouTube or whatever, and are able to see people do that, and it's interesting. And I've done it, and I would do it again.
Well, that's good that you're open to good new experiences. That's actually a very positive trait.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I had posted a podcast. Sorry, that escaped my mind for a moment. And got to meet this lady, really cool lady. Her name was Marlene. And I'm trying to find it here. Marlene invited me on, and it was I don't know, what do I want to say? It was a night of me able to tell stories that I've sort of, kept with me most of my life, hadn't really talked about, like I kind of talk about on the podcast. But anyway, her name is Marlene Pardo Pellicer. And I don't know, she has a podcast called Stories of the Supernatural. And so, and I was going to ask you about this, Cass. I know you probably didn't get a chance to hear it. And, but this is something that had happened, and you can check out that podcast. It's called Alien Close Encounters, Interview with Cameron Logan, Stories of the Supernatural. And I believe it's on Spreaker as well as YouTube. And, what we talked about was my own, how do I want to put this? My own experience. And I came up with this theory, I've always kind of wanted to have evidence, of some sort of close encounter of whatever kind. And, it's very rare that people have that evidence, but, there is, I believe, evidence, whether it be, evidence that's tangible that you can hold in your hand and keep in a briefcase or a vault, or something that doesn't last for, only lasts for a very short time. But,
we are working on that part.
This is one thing that happened to me was I had gone through this sort of phase where I wasn't getting enough sleep. And, when I did wake up, it was, generally weird at times. And, on one of these occasions I had woken up and, it was almost like I was seeing spots in front of my eyes. Because in the dream, or whether it be a dream, whatever it was, I was walking in this really, really intense light. And, within this light, there were sort of shadows. And I kind of explained this different on Marlene's show, but basically blobs that were floating from the floor through this light, basically up into infinity. So these balls of darkness, rather, kind of cast shadows in this light, and at times they would make patterns. And I described one as kind of being a cat's paw with like 7 toes, around 7 toes. But in reality, what it was, here's this light shining in my face, and there's this big dark object right in the middle with several, darker objects around the border, the upper border of it. So it sort of made a paw shape, and it floated from basically the ground up to infinity through this bright, bright light. And as I was sort of navigating through this bright light, whether this was a dream or whatever it was, usually people could, whether it be a nightmare or whatever, there could be this panic, but with me, there wasn't. Sort of this neutral feeling. But, these things, these balls of darkness would kind of float up, and, I got a sense that maybe there were people or whatever. I really couldn't really tell, but, I was looking into this light, trying to get this information, and I don't remember now what woke me up or what brought me out of this. Was it sleep paralysis? Was it whatever? But I know that, I had to use a restroom. And so as I got up, I'm in a lighted room with white walls. And what it's like when you're looking into the sunshine, or you're looking out the window and into the sun. You're in the house and you can close your eyes, and sort of burned into your retina is the shape of the window, right. Whatever. Well, I'm in the bathroom, and these shapes are burned into my retina.
Even after you woken up?
Even after I woke up. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So like I actually experienced that. Does that make sense? So, I can see.
Well, it makes sense to me, but I'm crazy.
So it's literally like I'm looking into this bright white light, and I can see these shadows, and they just move slowly from an area below me that I couldn't see up until they disappeared into nothing. But they moved really slow, and they cast shadows basically on my lit retina that was lit up with this bright white light, and for till 5 a.m. until probably 7 a.m. When I would close and clench my eyes really tight, I could still see these shadow shapes burned into my retina. And that's really interesting, because that's kind of evidence, proof of something that lingered and it lasted for a while.
Exactly. You know me, I've always got a hypothesis. The trouble is sometimes the hypothesis is wrong and then people get mad at me. You want to hear what I got?
Yeah. No, that's why, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about, and been thinking about it a long time, and I was going to throw that at you, but I thought we might as well do it this way.
Well, no, that works. People are, one of the big things in the ufology community right now is orbs. And the fact is there are multiple kinds of orbs. A lot of people are believers and they're like, no, orbs are real. I am with you, sir. The trouble is there are more than one kind of orb. Okay. Now, believe you experienced the thermal orbs. There are a specific kind of orb, which are basically contain plasma. If you could imagine reality as a plasma, that's what these orbs are. Like if you could take a sample. The thing is, they leave actual heat signatures. You can see them on night vision cameras and all that stuff. They actually leave an actual light trace. Unlike, for example, a lot of what people think are orbs are actually fairy gnats. Those don't leave an actual light trace. This particular kind of orb does. So I think what happened is essentially one of these orbs came to visit you, probably because of your previous contact, and they'll hover right over your third eye. So that's probably where you got the impression from, is it was probably literally hovering right over you. I don't have a theory to account for the shape, but
well, there were many shapes, but I think that the one that stood out, I could see many of them in my when I closed my eyes again, but there was one centerpiece that made sort of an impression on me. Yeah.
Did it at any time do like a zigzag motion?
No, they're just slowly floating from the lower part.
And that kind of rules out the possibility of it being a physical ailment like ocular migraine.
Oh, good point.
And I don't have any history of that or any problems with that, but it was, it was almost like if I was laying down and just sleeping really weird, restless sleep, opened my eyes and there's this bright light. Whether my eyes were open, whether they weren't, I don't know. But, then all of a sudden I'm finding myself kind of navigating through this, and it wasn't a physical act of me moving my legs, walking, whatever. I was just moving forward, kind of floating through this, and and these dark objects were off in the distance, and I couldn't even tell you how distant, but basically they were able to blot out, with these dark spots. I mean, there was no light coming from them at all. And the light from even my peripheral vision on to the left, right, up and down was filled with this intense white light with these dark objects floating up, everywhere.
Right.
And not thick. I mean, it was, periodic bursts of darkness, through the light, slowly as they went up. I would say there was probably less than, in maybe the half hour or whatever it was, there was probably less than 50. And then some of them were kind of clustered together.
Well, I can't say like who they were from, but I can tell you that a lot of like ET races, spiritual races, like entities, right, will use that technology to make contact. So that's my theory or hypothesis.
It sounds like reverse rain.
Sort of. Yeah. So why do you think that you said ET's engaging in some kind of contact? And to me, I always wonder
because we are absolutely desperate to contact your people. That's why.
But why would one of the things that always that I think about a lot is why do people see them in so many different ways? Why are there so many different presentations and why is there so much there's consistency, but there's inconsistency as well. To me, it would seem like, people seeing the same thing, 5 or 6 things over and over again.
Right. But there's always some like unique detail that experiencers can look at each other and go, no, you're faking, but you know what's up.
True. Yeah, there's that.
The problem is actually, believe it or not, an issue with the brain. It's literally a neurophysics issue. The problem is that perceiving entities that are also like, okay, all humans are psychic a little bit, at least a little bit. Okay. Everybody's had that. Oh, I got a bad feeling. And then the bad feeling happened. Okay. So entities which are fully psychic, half of what you're seeing when you're talking to them is actually what you might call psychic energy that has to filter through the pineal gland and through several brain organs before it gets to your prefrontal cortex, where this is where you perceive reality, right here, right up in front. So by the time the signal, pardon me, 1 second.
And for the audience, he was pointing to his forehead.
Yeah. Sorry, I get so excited. So the problem is, by the time the signal reaches your prefrontal cortex where you can see what's happened, it's passed through your fantasies, your dreams, your traumas. It's passed through your entire life. So what you finally see is going to be a bit different than what this guy over here finally sees. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The trick that we've been trying to gather from our end is basically see the commonalities and the themes between experiencers and trying to figure out who's being contacted by what. Because the war going on directly above your heads is nasty, and it's spilling into your world. I mean, you were talking about it all. This craziness is not isolated,
And it's not natural to the planet.
No. This is a terrible time to judge humans.
Right.
Like a lot of humans are like, oh, humans are crap. No, you are not. It's just that what's going on is affecting you, There's all sorts of factors. Sorry, I just kind of went off on a thing, didn't I?
It's all right.
But it's true. People are seeing different things. The other thing too is that Kristen, before we started, mentioned the U.S. Navy, and of course, tell everybody what you were mentioning the U.S. Navy for, because everybody's read about it, I'm sure. But go ahead.
My father was in the Navy, and so I know, how rigorous they can be. But I was very surprised when I learned that they were presented with some sort of request that I did not know was deniable.
Request for information.
Yeah, it was a request for information from the U.S. Navy about UFOs, and they would not declassify it. They would not make it public. They were not going to give up any information because they said it would cause mass panic. And
did they say it would cause mass panic?
They literally, this is part of that thing that I heard.
Right.
That they said that it would cause mass panic, and I was very surprised at that admission.
I don't deny that it would, but I mean, things are a little crazy right now, and it's like
the problem is
shit. That's all we need,
Right?
They're real. What?
The problem is that declaration is causing more panic than if they would just tell people, because now people are the people that have heard this are dealing with their worst fears. Oh my God, what could it be? It's not as bad as you think. It's bad for them. It's not bad for you guys.
But in not knowing the truth, the conspiracy theories can just spin.
Now, that being said, one of the reasons that they're able to do this illegally is because they've already released the information. It's already out there. So they can hide behind that with the various declassifications from the CIA recently, plus all these other factors. They can literally sit back and say, we already told you. It's not your fault you didn't look it up, but the information is there.
Yeah. Now, this is an article. This is from Live Science, and this is just basically the most recent one. I'm picking this at random, but it said the U.S. Navy holds unseen videos of unidentified flying objects or unidentified aerial phenomena, as the Department of Defense prefers to call them, but will not release the footage publicly because it would harm national security. The admission came in a response to the Freedom of Information Act request filed by the government transparency site, the Black Vault.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the Black Vault has, I don't know if you've ever dove into the Black Vault, but it's has this vast catalog of articles, and it's pretty amazing.
I've heard about it, but I'm going to be honest. When it comes to government secrets, I try to stay over there. Okay. I've already got too much against me. But I've heard of the Black Vault.
Go ahead, Cass.
I just like to point out that for those of you who get into like the legend of Valiant Thor, I'd like to point out that several high-level government officials committed suicide upon his debriefing. And what's going on now is related to the reason why they committed suicide. Assuming the stories are true, if you believe.
Yeah. What's interesting to me is, so let's just speak for a minute about what some of the three or four videos that three in particular that the Department of Defense released, and also the statements that were released by people who, how do I put it, people who experienced something, and including naval aviators and naval shipmen aboard aircraft carriers and other vessels off the west coast of the U.S. To me, it's interesting because they experienced flying. We assume they were flying because they were in the air, but they were there in the air. Was it flying? I don't know, but they could have been flying, or anyway, objects that were in the air, and they were shapes. So.
Now you touched on something extraordinarily important.
Well, we don't
especially
know
with the shapes.
Their shapes, and we don't know their sizes.
Right.
We don't know, in particular. I don't know of any that were clocked. I mean, there was some. They made some hypotheses about the speed that these were traveling. I don't think any of that was very accurate in the way they did that, but.
Well, you can't track something that's moving outside of space and time.
Well, and I'm assuming that maybe they do have some hard data that they collected on that, but of course have never released. But they were objects, and they never called, were they vehicles? Were they just shapes, in the night sky or whatever? But one of the things that they've never ever touched on or they've never talked about. I did have somebody on a show that talked about it, but they never had any naval shipmen or aviators that all of a sudden were sitting next to an alien creature. Or one was at the foot of the bed in the in a submarine or whatever. I mean, we don't those are things that people have experienced, and the Navy's experiencing something totally different, and we're trying to combine those two realities into something, and none of us have gotten close to an explanation, or have we decided what it even could be.
Oh yeah, dude. Even like me and Kristen can't explain it all. We can explain the stuff we recognize, but there's stuff going on that even we don't know. You know what I mean? Nobody knows everything. And if anybody tries to tell you they know what's going on, they are lying. You know what I mean?
Good point.
So
good point.
It's just,
and there's people out there who do describe that and give us a lot of information. One of the amazing things. So there was that article that I had sent both of you, and the one about Luis Elizondo talking about. Well, the headline is, the former intelligence officer who led the Pentagon's once secret UFO program says that ufology as we know it must be destroyed. So there's that.
That's the part I've been waiting to get for.
And then,
I agree.
Well, yeah, you can agree with that. And I too agree with it. And then I totally disagree with it. And I'll explain that. But the other person is, who am I thinking of? Jeremy Corbell. So.
Oh, I know that name. Corbell. Ancient Aliens, right?
Not Ancient Aliens. He does his own docs, and he did the
Okay.
Bob Lazar video, the most recent one. And the thing about Jeremy is the fact that not only
Mr. Corbell, we need you.
He's telling Bob Lazar's story, but he's on news shows and things like that, and more in particular, he's on Joe Rogan, and he makes statements like this. He'll talk about Bob Lazar's story, and then he'll say things he will say things like this. He'll say, and these guys are also experiencing missing time, but where did he get that? Or these guys, they're having multiple sightings, and it's like almost like these objects had followed them home, or just he'll make statements like that to me don't make a lot of sense, because I've never heard those stories backed up by anybody else, and to me I feel that they're made up, and I think that he does make up a lot of these stories to push his own agenda. Aww. And his agenda is making money off of the films on his website, and in particular the Bob Lazar film that he did, which was okay, but I mean, he has to make money, and so basically any show that he's on now, it's seemingly he has to come up with something new.
Well, that's why I want to get in
keep
contact
showing
with him.
up on TV.
I know him by his deeds, but not his name. But that's because that's just me. But if I could say one word to Mr. Corbell, I don't know if he's for real. I don't know if he's not. But it's like, dude, if you thought you could make money off of the Bob Lazar story, there are others. Okay,
exactly.
And I'm not gonna say, ooh, me too. But there are many others,
Thousands.
Mr. Corbell. People have been erased by the government, just like Bob Lazar. Mr. Lazar is kind of a hero because he survived it. But at the same time, I kind of want to have a little discussion with him. Like, why did you do that? But that's a whole nother thing. But there's a whole genre waiting. Okay. Like the ufology crowd is all, oh, did aliens build the pyramids? Okay, that's great. What else could you do from here on? We've been wondering about this, and people getting rich, asking each other if aliens did that when we could be making contact,
Sharing true technology.
Yes. The technology that we share, like a lot of the starseeds, not just me. I am one of many thousands. And that doesn't even count the starseeds. That's just the visitors. The technology we're trying to share works, to the point that when fully explained finally to Char's medical team, Char's my daughter, for those who don't know, they hired light workers. They still work at the hospital now. Okay. It's called quantum healing. The technology we're sharing works. It's just that so many people feel like if the Lyran technology works, then their experience with the Zetas is false. But that's horse crap. It's just nobody is invalidating anybody else by showing that there are multiple bases of technology and multiple ways of solving a problem.
Right. As long as the problem gets solved.
Right. I mean, just because you guys follow what I call Newtonian technology doesn't mean other technology bases don't exist. You see what I mean? So these UFOs, some of them are ships. Yes. Some of them are vehicles. Yes. Some of them are entities. And then others, I have no idea. I can only recognize so many of them. You know what I mean? The point is, though, is there's so much more going on here than any of us realize. And we need to put our heads together as a people.
Mm-hmm.
And
I send you
all children of Terra.
I send you light videos all the time to see if there is any truth to it or if you can debunk them. And almost always you debunk them.
I'm good at that. Yeah, that's one of the reasons like we shot our show in the foot is because I'm willing to debunk fakers. And what I didn't realize is you have to play the game in the industry. And if you don't play the game, then they don't want to hear what you have to say. You know what I mean?
I happen to believe the truth will out.
Oh yeah. That's why we still have a show, though. That's why we survived. Is because the truth is the truth. You can't stop the truth. You can't stop the signal, Mel. You can't stop the signal. Brown coats unite. It's time.
One of the things that Elizondo, he talks about, and he wrote about this in an op-ed somewhere, that the subject needs a more serious academic and intellectual community, and the results of what follows will be instilled with rigor, discipline, and professionalism instead of the Wild West approach. And essentially, Elizondo is saying that. But so I look at this two ways. Yeah, there's a Wild West approach, but he wants this pursued with a vigor, with an academic interest,
right?
And so I agree and disagree because number one, yeah, we have some of this Wild West approach out there, and I think for the most part, it's just there's a lot of people out there who have their own opinion, and they think, and they are right that their opinion matters, and their accounts matter. Okay, so we hear a lot about it, and we hear a lot of different types of stories that I mentioned earlier that don't seem to even coincide or are related at all. But then again, we do hear, people that are having some sort of the same experiences, and it's fairly interesting when that happens. But the other thing too is the fact that I think that Elizondo's a bit of a, I don't want to call him a name, but he's out there, and I think he has his own agenda as well. And he wants to be,
doesn't everybody? He
wants to be known, and he wants to be in the spotlight, and he's going to do whatever he can to push his agenda, whether it's right or wrong. So,
granted,
I don't feel right now that he's immersed with science and scientists, and that he is leading these folks in a direction where they can meet these people and meet these experiencers, and come up with some scientific approach and background that can help in an academic and scientific setting explain what's actually going on. So it seems to me that it's more of a look at me and keep me in the spotlight and help me possibly make eke a living out of this craziness that's out there. So there's people like that, and I think that's part of what he's doing as well. But Cass, you said you agreed with what he was saying, and I know what hopefully I know what you're saying is that that we do need that approach, but whether he's doing it or not, I can't really say. I don't think so.
I agree with you that he's definitely trying to enrich himself 100%. I mean, it really doesn't take a whole lot of experience in the entertainment industry to realize that he who comes up with a new genre, it's like discovering the Beatles. You know what I mean? So he wants to be the guy that discovers the Beatles. However,
it's not that exciting, but
yeah. Exactly.
It could be, yeah.
It's mostly sitting down with wingnuts. I'm going to be honest.
And that word is used in that article, so that's funny.
Oh God, that figures. But in his defense, he has access to some medical and technological information that is currently attempting to be beaten down, and in his defense, he wants to see this information brought to light. And I suspect one of the reasons why you wanted to talk to me about this is because we are in possession of information that we've been trying to bring to the light. And if we could get this stuff just seriously looked at, like for all my jokes aside, Cassidy plays a cartoon character on the show. Okay, but all jokes aside, okay, the science must be pure. And to this end, I've submitted my body and my children's bodies to science. They know who we are and why we're here. The trick is getting that information out. Like we have actually, since last time I was on your show, we have achieved it. We've got the permission to share the genetic information. But folks, this is just one tiny piece. Even let's just say for a second, everything that I say is 100% true, like cinematically true.
I'm not sure what you're saying though. Who's we and what do we have?
My people. And now what we have is my personal family. We have the genetic data, the proof that we are not human. Now, where we come from is still that's a leap of faith. But we have the proof that we're not human, and we also have the proof that there are others. And the scientists have been able to trace this genetic line that allows us to be here all the way back to Akhenaten. They are fully aware that a percentage of the population has this gene, so basically they're looking for it. And folks, if you're interested in wondering if you have this gene, ask your doctor for a genetic test looking for congenital learning defects. They'll find it. So, but yeah, it's there, and they're trying to track it. Where it comes from, that's a whole nother story, and that's where like spirituality comes in. And like part of what I agree with about the ufology thing is, in addition to the science, a lot of the folks, this has way more to do with Native American spirituality than it does with metal and pew pew laser beams. Okay, so it's the science must catch up. Okay. At the same time, scientists like exploring the nature of consciousness are also coming up with answers that fit in with everything, with all the rest of it. The pieces are being put together. We just need to put our heads together. Like if the guy is studying consciousness that realized that humans can link up subconsciously, if they could talk to, say, for example, the aeronautics guys that are looking at the crashed ships we have and saying, okay, this is not a human metal. It seems to operate on psychic principle. Okay, so take that and you take the consciousness guys, you put them together, and you got a flying ship. You know what I mean? It's just all the sciences are divided, each one thinking they're most important, And
well, what I have noticed is that people are very suspicious of those things that they do not understand.
With good reason. This is Earth.
And so therefore, how could ET races come here without risk of being dissected unless there are some changes? It is a very comforting thought to think that that Wild West approach won't be continuing. So when I heard that news about the changes, I was actually welcoming it.
Right. Me too. But that's one of the reasons why like starseeds are coming out. We're getting the signal that it's time. It's safe now. We are no longer going to be burned at the stake for being able to, talk to people. It's a whole nother world now. But in a way, this world is scarier because now they'll burn you at the stake for eating a piece of chicken on camera or something. It's like it's
voting for the wrong person.
Yeah. We have this these people like Tom DeLonge and the Stars Academy and if you look at the website or you look at the Facebook page, it's just full of links and dead ends and people are forgetting about all the promises made, just in 3 months or in 2 weeks, or there's going to be a big announcement over and over and over again for probably the last 5 years. And which that's kind of died out. And I don't know if it's died out because I'm not listening to it anymore or it's just not, but there's always these promises being made. And, now go ahead.
Mr. Sims talks about that, doesn't he? The alien, and I've seen the phenomenon too, which is what I knew he was talking about, but the alien savior complex, where a guy thinks he's in psychic contact with the aliens, and they tell him, "Oh, we're going to land on Fifth Avenue at 3." Guys, watch this.
Daryl Sims, the alien hunter.
Yeah,
I
actually follow him. Yeah, I actually follow him. He's actually kind of become a bit of a hero to me. I really do appreciate him.
I don't think he likes you very much, but
that's okay. That's okay. Nobody likes me very much, dude. Even back home, I wasn't well liked, folks. Even back home, I was a weirdo. So don't feel bad.
Just come on over to my cabin, Cass. I'll meet you in the woods and you just start running and you'll find me.
Dude, I'm too old to run. My plan, if he wants to, is just going to let him shoot me. Just like shoot me and we'll just watch, okay? Just record how fast it heals. Now do you feel better? Can we sit down and talk? You know what I mean? But no, the people like Daryl Sims are heroes. They're taking on a force much greater than themselves. They know what they're signing up for and they do it anyway. And that's the thing, like you guys don't understand. Your spirit is indomitable. If you decide you will not kneel, you will not kneel, and I've read some of his accounts and I believe him, you know what I mean? But it's not just him. It's other people like crap. I can never remember his name.
You know, believe. Ho ho ho!
Oh, he
Stop
believes
it,
me?
man. No. What I want to say is the fact that he has met with all these people. He has a collection of implants. He's got all kinds of stuff. I mean, and I think that I don't know if he's not being taken seriously or who's looked at this stuff, but it seems to be pretty interesting to me.
Well, that's the thing is the implants. That's right there is proof. You know what I mean? Like for example, just a little personal story. We got to my Shar survived because one of the people we helped by turning off their implant said, okay, you guys are for real. And he drove us. You know what I mean? We should be putting our heads together, not fighting. And I'm still trying to remember the name of the guy. He is a doctor and he takes the implants out, and he's a Dr. Greer. Dr. Greer is another guy I'm talking about. I mean, he sacrificed his career to help. You know what I mean? The trouble is Mr. Greer is making too much money taking out implants, so he's not interested in taking the next step. And that's where the trap is. You know what I mean? The enemy can go, oh, you're on the trail of something. Here's some money to distract you. Ha ha. So I'm not talking smack about Mr. Greer. I'm just saying the implants alone should be enough to get the next phase started.
Let me throw a word or concept at you that. So I had a guest last week who we covered a lot of territory in an hour, and I was very confused when it was all over, but she had told me ahead of time that she was a galactic source code being.
Yeah.
What is it? She could tell me what it was, but it didn't make any sense to me.
Okay. Galactic source codes beings are essentially, imagine like an antenna that grabs, essentially source code and then radiates it. Galactic source code is, your scientists have discovered it. They've seen it in the gravity field, and it's perplexed and scared the crap out of them. So if you guys look it up, you'll find that there is a code in gravity. You see what I mean? Is a code in gravity itself. So these galactic source code beings, what they can do, and by the way, they also have names in shamanism as well. So what they do is they get the source code and then they project it through the subconscious. Some trees also do the same thing.
Well, she mentioned Akashic record, which basically, to me, it made it sound like, of course, anything that has ever been done, anything that we'll ever do is sort of still out there somewhere. And we just don't have any way of decoding that. But I didn't know what it meant that she was a being of that source code.
So what that basically means is, I got to start a little bit. Gravity, time, and space are not what humans think. One of the prime ministers recently said that the aliens told him that, and he didn't know what it meant. But it's true. Things like gravity, space, and time are not what you think. So if you can get your mind outside of the gravity and spatial fields, you can perceive all time all at once. Okay. And it usually drives a person crazy. Not that I'm a good example of that, but realizing what time is tends to put a kink in things, and they try to explain it and they can't, and it tends to put things in perspective. But that's what the Akashic record is. The human mind slips out of time and out of space and gravity, and then it's able to sort of explore everything that ever happened. You see, time itself is not really a thing. Time itself is a cast-off energy, kind of like electricity. That basically it's the result of time and space rubbing up against, space and gravity rubbing up against each other. That creates what you perceive as time. You see? So
but time is not linear like most people think.
No. It is a field, not a current. Electricity is a current. Time is a field. You see? Mm-hmm. So basically, that's why the Navy, they can't record some of the movements, because these vehicles are literally outside of space and time. You know what I mean? And I did mean time and space that time. So that's why they can just seemingly blink. But that's also why they'll do maneuvers like go from the North Pole to the South Pole, because that's a long enough trip that the military can record it. They want you to see them. Well, the ones we recognize, not, the ones that are part of our group, we want you to see us. Okay. We are trying, And the reason we can't just land is because your planet's radiation is poisonous to these people. Hence this stage of contact. You know, for example, you guys can look it up. Recently, your scientists have discovered that the radiation, the primal radiation of Mars is a different frequency than Earth, and they know that humans won't survive it without some kind of technological bridge. Now imagine how different something would be, the vibration would be from 25 million light years away, the other side of the known universe.
Mm-hmm.
You see?
It'd be like John Carter of Mars.
Right. So that's the crux, that's the trouble. And because there's so many interpretations and so many ways people can see things and so many things going on, it's all like a big traffic jam, you know? So I agree. And science is what will get us out of this traffic jam. But this traffic jam that is the current ufology has got to be cleared up, you know? I mean, how many more years do you think? I mean, I love Giorgio Tsoukalos, really, truly. I want to shake his hand someday. But how many more years do you think he can get away with saying aliens?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's the point. I mean, it's these people have kind of found their little gig, and they are trying to exploit every bit of it they can to.
Right. I used to be angry about it, but now that I understand money, I get it. But see, the thing is the mission of contact cannot be tainted by greed. You know, it just screws everything up. You know, make your money somewhere else. You know, we make our money with our art. You know, so make money somewhere else. This is an important. This is life or death. You know, the environmental disaster that you guys, it's coming. It's not coming from carbon. You know, so something's got to give.
But that's not helping either.
No. But the thing is reaching out for the ET species. I'm talking about the ETs, not the spiritual ones. Reaching out for help is kind of what your species did in the past to survive these solar axioms. You know, it didn't used to matter so much, but now everything runs on electricity. So now it's a bigger deal than it used to be.
Yeah. You know, I just don't think that that these guys pushing their own agenda is helpful you know, and I'm not saying that I'm trying to get ahead or trying to make my
but it's a riddle though.
Make my own name bigger and bolder and out there. I don't care. I really don't. And you know, this is a hobby and it's fun, and you know, I like talking about it. And you know, I think that that the whole thing has been convoluted, where there's too many podcasts and there's too many people talking about the same thing, and it all sounds, you know, different, and I think I think the truth is getting spread thin, you know, rather than us discovering things together. It's just way beyond our grasp right now.
Building on that, I would say the path to the truth is getting muddled.
Building on your
why is that?
Well, I mean, you like you said, you got a million podcasts out there. They're all talking about this as if they are the authority and they know the truth. But in reality, like 9/10 of it is pulled out of sci-fi. You know, like there's this movie that's been going around called Zeitgeist, right? And there's this part in there where it says that all these saviors are all the same, like Jesus and all these saviors are all the same. It is an absolute fabrication that came from a science fiction book. I believe it was called The Thousand Faces of Christ or something. It's not true at all. You know, like for example, the Horus and Jesus comparison, it's ridiculous. Horus was born in the spring, you know, not on December 25th. He never had the followers. He didn't perform miracles. His mother was a goddess of sex. So where's this virgin birth? It's all bullcrap. But these people take it and they just run with it because it sounds new and fresh. So they can take it and they can grab it and just run with it. But it's all crap. You know what I mean? Like my father used to start cults based on Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. It's the same kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's good stuff.
Yeah, that's better writing. I'll give you that.
Not the cult.
I love a Star Wars cult.
Yeah, it was pretty cool being told that you're the reincarnation of Luke Skywalker. It was pretty cool. I gotta give you that. But I had to get away from the insanity. So,
You're
but
not my father.
Yeah, dude, that saved my, that I gotta say, Mr. Lucas, if you hear this, you saved my life with that. Literally, you know. And see, for those listening, my father knew what I was, and he wanted to harness what we can do to advance his music career, as ridiculous as that sounds. So, but yeah, right. But the thing is the same way that my father could capture people's imagination, put the cult on them, is the same. And I'm not trying to say people are getting culty. I'm not saying that, but that same kind of vibe
people
is
are
why.
very culty. Go ahead.
I was going to say the same thing. They are too.
I mean, they're waiting for the next one. I mean, we're seeing it right, happen right before our eyes right now, I believe.
Oh yes, absolutely. What's going on in the public is 100% effing textbook cultism. It's just what we're seeing right now is a new religion. They can say that's not all they want to, but it is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, and without, I'm not want to bring any extra heat on your show. So if anybody has a problem with that, that's my opinion, not Mr. Cameron's.
I really don't care. That's fine.
And that's why I love you, bro.
Bring it on. I mean, it's, I respect everybody's opinion, and I love each and every one of you out there. And I'm glad that we have opinions, and it's interesting to find out, what goes on inside your head. But let me ask you this though, and we could do like 10 more minutes, but, you cast bring up Native Americans often, but we don't really go into that, and I don't really plan on going into it very deeply right now. But what's the relationship with the stars and the universe with the natives? I mean, they're not like me and you, or not like me.
No. There's actually a genetic difference. That's why you can go on do My DNA and figure out what
are we going to offend? Are we going to offend anybody talking about it?
If they are, they can kiss my ass.
Okay, I'll let you talk about it then.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. And if anybody wants to start crap, I'm a Native American trans woman. I am an actual Heyoka, not a pretend Heyoka, as in recognized by the Lakota and also the United States government. So if you want to do the woke crap at me, bring it.
Tell them what a Heyoka is, please.
A Heyoka is somebody who is possessed of two spirits. Now, that does not mean they are possessed by two spirits. This can take on many forms. In my case, it is due to the genetic anomaly. I am biologically intersex. They call it Klinefelters now. They used to call it chimeric hermaphrodism. Okay. So what that means for me is I experience male and female emotions simultaneously at all times.
He's extra sexy.
Oh baby. But no, so what that means is my place in the tribe is to mediate disputes. Okay, now there are many kinds of Heyoka. What was required to be Heyoka is to have that duality, some kind of duality. Now the wokesters have taken that to mean trans people. It does not mean trans people. No offense. Okay. In our culture, trans people are a wholly third gender. In my opinion, the trans people are, and this is important, and we'll get through it. The trans people are denying themselves the uniqueness of being a wholly third gender in order to pursue male or female.
Manito.
That's weird to us, What was that, sweetie?
Manito.
Yeah,
of the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
That's the third gender.
Right. So Heyoka are often shaman, and that's what I do. Is the whole shaman thing, and what shamanism is not magic, and that must be important. You guys have all heard of Native American medicine. They insisted when they met white people, this is not magic, it is medicine. What it is technology taught by, in their own words, the star people, specifically the Pleiadians. Now, this is very, very important. The indigenous peoples all around the world have had contact with Pleiadians, Arcturians, Lyrans, my people, and of course the Nomo for many, many, many thousands of years. Okay, tribes that maintain that connection, which by human standards would be a psychic connection, but that's not accurate. We'll go into that later or on the show. They've maintained their relationship with the star people to the point where they still talk. Right. Now, part of the reason they've been able to maintain it is because of the genetics. It's in the chromosomes, it's in the DNA. That doesn't mean that others can't make contact. It's just that over the thousands and thousands of years that our peoples have been in contact, these tribes sort of selectively bred to be able to talk to the star people. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where shaman come in. This is not magic what we do. It is literally technology. We could teach you, you could do it at home. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like calligraphy. It looks absolutely stunning to somebody who's never done it. But then once you learn the basics of it, it becomes second nature.
Right. So and that's where the science must come in. The chromosomal and the genetic data that I'm talking about must be made public. People must know it's real. You know, sometimes you meet a wingnut and they're not really crazy. They've just been beaten down by life. You know.
What about psychedelics? Do you have any experience with that, and what's the relationship with?
Now, here's where I'm going to offend people. I do not appreciate psychedelics. I do not condone psychedelics under any circumstances, unless you are dealing with extreme grief. Then, okay, fine. Take the DMT.
Isn't it a native tool, though?
Yes, it is, but that doesn't mean that I have to appreciate it. I have led people on their experiences. I do not partake. The reason why is because my father was a full-blown psychonaut. And when I say psychonaut, I am emphasis on the psycho. I've seen what happens to people when chemicals take it too far. You know, like doing a proper ayahuasca ceremony is not the same thing as slapping a pack of acid on your tongue. You know what I mean? So people will play with like methamphetamines can help your mind achieve that dimensional contact. The problem is the drug is messing with your head. So yeah, you've achieved the contact, but it's not a good signal. Right. You know, if you guys want to learn, I highly recommend, if you have the time, some people don't have the time, I highly recommend doing it through meditation. You know, and I don't mean sitting there going, what I mean is connect with your personal flow state. Okay. If you get into the flow state by dancing, and by the way, the flow state is that moment where you're not really in your own mind, you're in the zone. Okay. Achieving the flow state, ride that flow state, however you get it, learn about yourself, contemplate. Okay. Use that insight to find yourself, and your eye will open without chemicals. Mm-hmm. And yes, we have guided many through it over the years. I've been doing this for 40 years now, as of September 6th. So, you know, Kristen and I are both adept at teaching people face to face. Teaching people on the internet has been trouble. So that's the reason why I emphasize the connection to the Native Americans. And that is important right now, because this country, and by extension, the world, is under threat, you know, and pretty much the Lakota people are the only ones standing in the way, you know, a standing rock. You guys have to ask yourself, why have they delayed that pipeline for 10 years rather than just go around and save themselves money? You know,
power and control.
Yeah. Why have they? Why have they spent 10 years trying to go?
Well, specifically, they're trying to put that pipeline through the aquifer. The thing is the pipes they're using are known to break underwater. What they're trying to do is get an oil spill into the aquifer so that we have to get all of our water from the corporations.
I thought there might have been some metaphysical reason.
There's that too. You want me to go into it?
No. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right.
Which one?
All right. So you guys have probably heard the phrase Turtle Island. America is this country is more important than you could possibly understand. And it's got nothing to do with America. It's got to do with the spirit. Okay. What they're doing, that particular spot, the reason why that is holy is that's a major artery to Turtle Island as a whole. That's like the jugular. Okay, that specific spot, that crack of land where the Lakota have called holy, the aquifer comes up and then it goes back down, and then that's all of the country's water. That's all the country's water underneath there. Now, a lot of geologists say it's not, but they have been paid. You know, you got to research the geologists that are not on the payroll of the oil corporations. So, speaking spiritually, what they're trying to do is cut Mother's throat. And I'm not even joking about that. That's why many, many people have said if that pipeline gets finished as it is game over. You know, that's not just spiritually. You can track it biologically, which is why science is so important. The science and the spirit meet. Okay. The plants will die. Okay. The biosphere will die. There will be no more farming in America. Okay. Now, spiritually speaking, America inspires the whole world. Our chief export is culture. Okay. We inspired people to rise up and take freedom from darkness all over the world. Now, granted, that's gone bad. Now, the reason why, though, isn't because Star Spangled Awesome. It's because the spirit of America is still free. Okay. The totem of this land has not been broken, and they're trying to break her over our dead body. Hence why,
Captain.
no. And that's why I refer to the war going on literally just above your heads, just outside of perception. It is all fire and blood, and it's spilling out. Light workers everywhere. A lot of you guys, you dream of these great adventures and battles, and what you don't realize is that really happened in fifth dimension. That's really going on. People mention matrix theory. They're right too. But again, so many perceptions. Are we all on a computer program? Are we all on an alien ship? Are we all a brain in a jar? Doesn't matter. Okay, the point is we have a central starting point. And from there, we can get out of this together. But if America's spirit is broken, terror will follow. We have the Star Spangled Awesome here because of the spirit of the land. Okay, America was generous and said, come. Bring us your poor and your downtrodden. I will be their mother. Unfortunately, we seem to have an abusive father right now.
Yeah, things changed.
The world's fucking crazy, and we really need to change things right now.
Right.
Before there's going to be a point, and I can honestly say that I do believe this. There's going to be a point where it's too late, and
yes,
a lot of this stuff we may fix, but there's going to be so much that we're not going to be able to get back. We're there right now, but
oh yeah, closer than it seems. The last coronal mass ejection missed us by 9 days, and that seems like a lot, but it is literally a near
talking
miss.
About what we're created here, and I'm unfortunately, I am one of those people that do truly believe that it's important to leave no trace and to think about our children, and it's really tough to see, what's happening, and I guess I feel really sensitive to that right now just because of where I'm at and what's going on, and being inundated with people in a place that I've never experienced people before, and to this degree, and this mass introduction, and it's horrible. So, the
thing is,
go ahead, Cassidy.
Sorry. Earth is our mother. We must treat her with respect. And if you guys think that's a spiritual thing, we can prove it scientifically. That's all I wanted to say. My bad.
Absolutely. Always. That's what science is for. It's not a joke.
Yes.
People joke about it and joke about others who don't appreciate science as it should be appreciated. And so there's a problem out there, and one of the problems is apathy. One of the problems is greed, and one of the problems is our inability to cope with the people that we disagree with. So until we solve those problems one at a time, our problems will multiply, and they are. So, I may be standing on a soapbox and nobody gives a shit about what I'm saying, but it's absolutely true, and I care about everybody out there, even the people that disagree with me, and even the people I disagree with.
Well, bro, if you're on a soapbox, I'm buying stock in soap. Okay, I've been a fan of yours a lot longer than we've been friends, and there's a reason why I listen to you. The fact that you are fearless in trying to bring this world together.
Well,
astounding.
I wouldn't say I'm fearless because, I do think that I've lost a lot of listeners by stepping on a few toes, and I'd really like to do it more often. But, I feel if I ramp it up and I talk about it, and I get emotional about, what I'm feeling is the fact that, you lose people and people don't want to hear it. But, there's a lot in me, and there's a lot of, things that people don't know about. And I've only scratched the surface about what I'm about. And, so I've always
Bro,
been. Go ahead.
if I had my way, we could just link up and, it would be you. You would be the new Beatles discoverer if I had my druthers.
What say you, Kristen? What's on your mind tonight? You got 1 minute.
No problem. Well, I just want to remind everyone that we are in a time of uncertainty, and yes, there is something major coming, but we just need to keep positive. And if we are meant to survive it, we will. It's really that simple.
Spoiler alert, we're meant to.
Yeah, I think we're meant to, but can we do it?
No.
I'm not saying don't worry, So many people are lost right now. They've sunk into depression and worry and doubt and fear, and those are not positive things.
But to answer your question, yes, we can. You
Yes,
listening
you
at
can.
home, yes, we can.
Yes, you can what?
Come together and all that.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah,
I
'cause while you
didn't
were
know
talking-
what you were talking about.
Well, while you were talking, Cameron said, but can we? So,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
All right. That sounds good. I think we're done. I want to
All right.
I just want to mention before we go that I want God to truly bless everybody that listens to this podcast. And I want everybody to know that you are indeed my friends out there. And, even though we don't communicate often, and most of the time you're just listening to my voice, I see your names, and I think about you and people that have contacted me in the past. I never forget, and I think about them all the time. And super important to me. I mean, this to me is kind of just a learning experience. I'm loving being out there and being able to do this. It's a fun thing for me. It's a hobby, but for the most part, it's about friendship, and it's about the people I've met, and care about each and every one of you, including you two, which I find you very special. And we'll do this again. We'll do it periodically, and these two have a lot to say, and Cass, of course, never runs out of opinion. And,
Yeah, shutting me up is the trick.
right, so with that, I want to say goodnight, and God bless you and you and your families. They're beautiful families, especially you, Cass. Cass has had the loss of his daughter, and it's still weighing heavy on his heart. And of course, I think about him all the time. And, if you would like to contact the man and show your appreciation, and to Kristen as well, I wish you would do that, because they would like to hear from you, and I would like to hear from you. So, with that,
Yeah.
good night to you. Good night to you, and I'm going to bed.
Sweet dreams.
We love you, everybody. Be safe out there.
Good night. Talk to you soon.